let's do a Terra ecosystem update. It's been a few weeks since our last post, and what's been going on in the ecosystem? Still been pretty active, lots of news coming up. So let's just do a quick rundown, and then we can maybe zoom into a couple things that seem more interesting. So of course, Luna has been going absolutely nuts over the past month or so. A lot of this price action is due to Luna's new UST MIM partnership. So if you go to tfi.app/supply, what you can see is the day-to-day burn of Luna. And I mean, today, by this time, it would probably be closer to 1 million. Today, the burn is off. But over the past month or so, if you go to terra.smartstake.com and oops, did I get that wrong? Maybe they're set. Let's not worry about that. But what you were seeing is 1 million Luna burn, 1.5 million Luna burn, 1.8 million Luna burn. That was driving our price sky high. And even with Bitcoin kind of acting up and not being in up-only mode, Luna's price was on the top range. And lots of people are starting to pay attention. Every time there is a dip, Luna's dip is less severe. Every time there's a recovery, Luna recovers faster than most. And it looks like, not financial advice, but it looks like if our bull run continues, Luna's pretty destined to keep going up. So I'd say over the past month, over the past 2 months, people have seen how Luna performs in a down cycle, and they watched the DPEG not happen this time, unlike last time. So confidence is growing in Luna land for sure. Let's look at some of the apps inside the ecosystem. We can start with Anchor. So Anchor had some problems this month. Total value locked 8 billion. Amazing. Prices, whatever. It's basically a stable coin now in the $3-4 range. Yield reserve has been going down. This yield reserve was going up for the past several months, and then over the past week or two, it's finally started going down again. And one of the main reasons for this problem is that our borrow demand has gone lower, where our deposits, our Anchor earn at 20% a year, risk-free, is always going up regardless. So we're only borrowing 1.5 billion, only, quote unquote. And so we're only getting that much, borrower APY to feed to these earners over here. The rest is coming out of the yield reserve. And one of the reasons is there was a bug in Anchor, and it liquidated a bunch of borrowers, like over 50 million, I think, something like that. And it wasn't due to a Luna price tank. So these borrowers got liquidated even though they shouldn't have. So there's a community proposal that's coming out, or it's out already, one of those, where they want to compensate users for that liquidation bug. So they have a $4.5 billion ozone reserve. This is their insurance fund, and now they want to use that insurance fund for this. So this is the first time the insurance fund is being used for something. So how cool is it to just have that there to help people? Amazing. And it looks like it's winning by a landslide, so that's looking good. Other than that, Anchor, I think B-Sol is coming out here in the near future. Ethereum has stayed relatively strong throughout this dip by Bitcoin. Most of the altcoins have been demolished. If you weren't looking at Luna and you weren't looking at Bitcoin, you weren't looking at ETH, you might have lost 50 to 60 to 70% of your net worth, because a lot of the mid caps and small caps did not perform very well. Let's move on. There's a new app that launched on Terra. It's like a gaming guild. It's called PlayNity. So they're launching on Terra. They also have a wrap version of their Play coin on Binance Smart Chain. And the app is live. What you can currently do is you can basically stake. And their staking is providing liquidity. So I don't have a wallet on this browser, so I can't show you that. But the current staking APY is like 300%. And if you lock it for 3 months, it's like 600%. I'm not sure how far they've really come with, they just launched like a week ago, so I'm not sure if their guild is up and running, if their treasury is profitable yet. But the way it works is that they raise this money, and then this money goes towards purchasing NFTs and funding players in the play-to-earn economy. So games like Axie Infinity and Thetan Arena, they're going to employ these people. They're going to buy NFTs, and these people are going to use those NFTs in order to play these games, earn an income. That income comes back to the treasury, and then that income is that treasury, those treasury assets are used to buy more NFTs, and they're also used to buy back tokens. And those tokens that the treasury buys back are burned. So it's increasing the price for stakers. Meanwhile, stakers are getting APY for providing liquidity, and that's how the whole thing works. So basically, the bigger the treasury gets, the more NFTs they can buy. The more NFTs they buy, the more people they can employ. The more people they employ, the more money comes back to the treasury, more money everyone makes. And that's kind of the model. And with play to earn, expected to be pretty big in 2022. This is an interesting project. As a member of GT Capital, I was an early investor in PlayNity, so I do have some tokens. And I'm hoping that this project does very, very well. So what's StarTerra been up to these days? Well, StarTerra just did a thing where, let's look at StarTerra's launches previously. They've actually had like a decent amount of just like a pipeline of launches. I kind of thought for whatever reason that after November ended, maybe the pipeline would dry up because there weren't as many projects coming out. But what StarTerra has proven is that they are great networkers. And they are great bridges for other projects from like Binance Smart Chain to come over to Terra. So we're getting like Wizard, for example, like a Binance Smart Chain Terra hybrid thing. PlayNity, same thing. SoulChicks, I don't know what to think about SoulChicks, but I guess same thing. They launched on like 50 or 100 different launch pads at the same time. So this is very much like a super marketing kind of thing you find at the tail end of bull cycles, whatever. But in general, I'm pretty impressed by their constant pipeline. Doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. And they got this new thing here where Astroport is our new DEX that's officially launching on Terra finally. And if you migrate your liquidity from if you're staking on StarTerra, you migrate it to Astroport, then StarTerra is doing something cool where you start receiving Astro tokens in addition to the StarTerra tokens you're already receiving. In addition, they're giving some extra bump to that StarTerra token that you're receiving. And in addition to that, you can continue investing in IDOs with that LP that you have staked in StarTerra. So it just seems like a cool, smart little thing that they did where keep using StarTerra for StarTerra, but now you can start earning some Astro tokens as well. So watch out for that. Meanwhile, Pylon, which is our other launchpad in Terra, well, Pylon's been making a lot of waves recently. What we've been seeing with Pylon is Woojin. Woojin, he's the founder of Pylon, but you really almost didn't really hear much from Woojin over the past 6 months. And then suddenly he's coming out with like these big brain forum posts and these big ideas and these tokenomics do-overs. So it seems like he's been absorbing all this stuff that's been going on, not just with Pylon, not just with Terra, but with the greater ecosystem and what the problems are with the tokens bleeding and everyone farming and dumping. And he's coming up with these ideas. So one of his ideas is called Gateway Fund 1, and it's novel. And it's basically like incorporating the ability to crowdfund a VC. So anyone can be a part of a VC. So one of the main problems with the way Pylon Swap worked is that there wasn't enough allocation, and then not everyone got as much as they wanted. And stakers weren't getting any benefit from being stakers. So the whole thing was just kind of cockamamie, and it was totally up to chance whether you got an allocation or not, regardless of how loyal you were to Pylon or not. So Woojin took notes of that. He took notes of like the LBP model, Mango Markets model, like all the different models. And the one that he came up with is lossless VC investment available to everyone. The way this works is that you create a fund, and I think GT is going to try to be a part of this. GT, we're a community VC that's Terra native, and we're in talks to kind of build something within Pylon, and hopefully we make progress on this, where people can stake in something like a gateway fund, and if GT Capital has deal flow, with newer projects that are coming out, a certain amount of the allocation can go towards this gateway fund. So people who have deposited their UST into this fund, Pylon is all about yield redirection. So it takes that money, it farms it to generate yield. That yield can go towards purchasing allocations in upcoming projects. And then depending on the amount of UST you've staked, that gives you access to these early deals when the tokens launch and the airdrops start coming out. And the way that mine benefits from all this price action, according to Woojin, is that in order for you to be able to deposit into this gateway fund, you have to burn some equivalent amount of mine. So if you wanted to put in $1 UST into this fund, you need to burn 10 mine, or whatever that number is going to be. So I think this is a really cool idea. I think it's a novel concept. I think Woojin's really working on some cool things, and we'll definitely see where this goes. Keep an eye out for that. Let's look at Kujira. Kujira, of course, is like a sister app to Anchor, and now they're working on going cross-chain. So wherever there's borrowing and lending on Solana and Matic and Ethereum or whatever, Kujira is going to be a component, a kind of plug and play, where people who want cheap tokens of whatever that main layer one's borrowing collateral is, they can use something like Orca to bid on it. So if you really want Luna and you don't want to pay full price, well, you can bid for a 6% discount on your Luna, 8% discount on your Luna, 10% discount on your Luna. And when the Luna market tanks, which eventually it always kind of does, then the person who is willing to buy that tanking Luna with the least amount of premium gets it. So here, there's only $12,000 who will take it for 2%, a few more at 3%. About $1 million will take it for a 4% discount, and when Luna keeps tanking, then this money keeps getting eaten up, and eventually, if there's a big market crash, you could get to the point where someone must be expecting a big market crash if they got a 14% discount queued up at $5 million. So it's interesting stuff. And then that's pretty cool. So Dove, who is one of the founders for Kujira, he's been very excited about the new stuff that's going on with the project, and he's saying, kind of made a comment about rest in peace sellers, and he's saying with all the new partnerships coming out that Kujira, the value accrual to Kujira, use case for Kujira, is going to send the price up. Obviously, Kujira price has not been doing so great, but I don't want to boo-hoo that too much, because Kujira did really well for quite some time. Kujira $1.82 right now. A couple of days ago bottomed around 150. Top was like closer to $4 or $5, I think. Yeah, almost $5. And, a lot of this might be due to like the crypto banter guys. They spent like a whole segment talking about how awesome Kujira was. So people were just kind of aping into Kujira. And now people are taking profits. It's no secret that Terra Luna projects have kind of an issue with just getting 100% dumped like nonstop forever. So we'll see how Kujira kind of fights this. In terms of like marketing competence, building, Kujira's got some undeniable talent. So we'll see how they do. So White Whale did is this the White Whale? Yeah, White Whale did their token launch yesterday or the day before, or it was 2-3 day thing. They called it a boot swap. And the boot swap, it's one of those things where the price starts high, and if no one wants to buy it, the price drops. And I think it's like started a couple dollars, and it bottomed at around 14 cents, and the current price is like 18 cents or something like that. Yeah, current price is 18 cents. And then if you look at there's two whales. If you look at the one that's a little cleaner, this will be the one that actually involves the boot swap. So people started like up here, you see the little red volume. Not too many people bought, but some people did. Rest in peace, those people. And then we finally got our first FOMO at 16 cents. Got a couple hours of that. And then lots of just kind of downward stuff. And then this was the final day here where we bottomed around 13, 14 cents. And then we got a big green candle. And then we, I forget where the price finished up at. Maybe it was around 16, 17 cents. But that's kind of where we are now. So there's not much you can currently do with the white whale token, I believe. You can't really stake yet. You can't put it into any of the vaults yet. You can only trade it, basically. So we're in a waiting pattern. I'm not sure when they're launching their stuff, but when they do launch, the White Whale app basically lets anybody be a whale. And whales, they like to do a lot of price arbing, where they arbitrage price from one app or one blockchain. If there's a discrepancy with that price on another app or another blockchain, they can arb the difference, make some money. And if you deposit your UST or whatever asset they're arbing with, then you can get a cut of that as well. One of the more interesting things about White Whale is they're not launching with any incentivized liquidity that I know of. They're doing this because this money they raised from this boot swap, that's in their treasury now, and they're going to use that to provide liquidity. So they're providing their own liquidity. They don't have to incentivize themselves to provide liquidity. So there's going to be one less reason for the price to dump. Another reason for the price not to dump is because there are no investor unlocks in the first year. And there's no team unlocks in the first year. So there's no one to dump. So we've literally got people who mostly bought the token in the teens, right? So nobody's really up 50x. Nobody's up 10x yet. There's no long-term day after day sell pressure from incentivized LP. There's no sell pressure from someone getting 300, 400% APY, APR. There's also no current use case, so there's no reason to buy the token. So people are just waiting. It seems like 18, 17 cents is a decent equilibrium. When we get news of when they launch, I'd be very interested. I mean, I have some now from the boot swap, but I'd be very, very interested in getting more depending on when they're launching, stuff like that. Okay, just going down the list, we got Apollo now, and Apollo just launched their single-sided staking, and it's currently at a 700% APR. So if you have some Apollo tokens, be sure to check that out. Might be worth a look. Unfortunately, I just locked my Apollo tokens into the Astroport lockdrop, so I'm kind of stuck with that, and I locked it for 52 weeks. So what this lockdrop is basically Astroport's IDO, and there's 3 phases: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. We're currently halfway through phase 1. In phase 1, if you're providing liquidity, or if you have any of these tokens, Luna, Anchor, Mirror, STT, Mine, Apollo, Psi, VKR, Orion, you can turn them into a liquidity pair with UST. If you have like $1,000 worth of Mirror, pair that with $1,000 worth of UST here in this Provide tab, that turns it into an LP token. And then once you do that, this little button here will say submit LP or something, and you can do that. And once you do that, Astroport gives you rewards for doing that. But it's called lockdrop for a reason. So you have to actually lock your LP tokens in there. You can lock it for 2 weeks or you can lock it for a full year. If you lock your tokens for a full year, you get 4 times the reward. Like you get 4 times the reward multiplier that you would have for just locking it for 2 years. So they get liquidity and you get a better multiplier. If you're going to earn like, 10 tokens a week with Astroport, and but you lock your tokens for 52 weeks, then that's a 4x multiplier. So you would get 40 tokens a week. And I'm not a big liquidity provider guy, especially in Terra, as it's all just down only besides Luna. But I do have some tokens, and I'm not really planning on selling. And this seems interesting. I want a piece of it. So I did lock up some STT, Apollo, and what else? Mirror that I had laying around. So we'll see how that goes. See how that goes. And I think that about covers it. Yeah, I think that about covers it. So let me know if you have any questions. Leave some comments if you appreciated the content. Make sure to follow me on Twitter. My Twitter name is Lunatic Hisoka. I'm much more active on Twitter, obviously, but stay tuned. We got some interviews coming up soon on my channel, so be sure to subscribe and not to miss it.